Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once more, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. We are transmitting live from Nairobi, CBD. This is Ofdoc TV. Assalamu alaikum, marafiki zangu kutoka Mombasani, marafiki kutoka Kilindini, kutoka Lamu, kutoka Shimoni. Hii ni Ofdoc TV ambayo inakuja kwako direct kutoka mjini Nairobi. Like I've always said, so many things keep on happening at the port of Mombasa. The latest is the war for the soul, is the fight for the soul of the South Sudan cargo. Fight between CFSs, 21 CFSs fighting for the soul of the South Sudanese cargo. And this battle rages for the last many years going back. There's no proper policy that has been defined or regulate how the cargo to South Sudan will be moved from the port of Mombasa upon clearance. We have 21 CFSs fighting for equal share or for the lion's share of this cargo going to the port of Mombasa. Daggers are drawn, gloves are off. There are no holds barred in this combat because it's a very lucrative South Sudan cargo business. It's a multi-million business that moves the South Sudan cargo. Remember, the volumes for South Sudan cargo has been increasing every other year. The new government of South Sudan has embarked on a very, very strategic policy for reconstruction, rebuilding of the South Sudan economy, and above all, rebuilding of the infrastructure of South Sudan. And therefore, much of the cargo passing through the port of Mombasa are basically project cargo, government project cargo or private project cargo that is moving the port. And they are coming in bulk. And they are coming also in huge container volumes. And therefore, whoever wins this share of the volumes of cargo passing through the port of Mombasa carries home the trophy in billions of shillings worth of volumes of cargo and the logistics chain that takes it all the way to Juba. Now, in this contest, like I said, government functionaries have come in also to spoil. They are spoilers. They are throwing the spanners in the works. Government functionaries are also coming in to dictate on how the government and the goods, the importers and the exporters of South Sudan cargo, we're going to follow which CFS is going to take the bulk of the share of this. Previously, you had two major CFSs who agreed amongst themselves to share the spoils at 50% each of this cargo. But now things change very fast in the dynamics of the port industry, very, very fast. With the coming of the new government into Kenya, a lot has changed that has seriously affected how cargo is evacuated and how cargo is moved from the port of Mombasa to the hinterland destinations. You recall there was the issue of the transit cargo going to ICD, KPA, Nairobi. There was also the NFT outer ports terminal in Nairobi and the Naivasha ICD. These are transit cargo that can easily connect through road connection from those ICDs all the way to Juba. And remember, like I've said before, moving 1 ton per kilometer through the standard gauge railway as compared to the road network system where the railway provides the benefits of the economies of scale, would give, of course, the advantage of moving cargo in bulk through the rail system. It's only important that the Kenya Railway change its policy on the rates and tariff of moving freight from the port of Mombasa to attract more cargo that goes through the rail system. It does not make much sense, really, if the railway becomes as expensive as the road, because the road would actually become very fast. The transit time for road is very fast. But the best advantage for the railway system is that you move bulk in one hole, one big hole. One block train from Mombasa carries 54 wagons in terms of container volumes. 54 wagons makes 180 TEUs. 108 containers. If we were to go by road, that would take 108 lorries. That means the benefits of economies is actually advantageous if you use the railway system. So Kenya Railways must look again and review onto the tariff of moving their cargo by rail. Now, the CFSs that are fighting over this, and each one is demanding their share of their pound of flesh. It's a cutthroat competition. Nobody wants to let go. There are litigations. There are government involvements. There are shipping line involvements. Because, like I said clearly, there's no policy that has been put in place to regulate this cargo. And as the fight rages on, there are those who are going to win, and there are those who are going to bite the dust. So the two protagonists who shared 50-50% share of this South Sudan cargo have to let go, because now the government of South Sudan has intervened and declared that it's a now free market economy. Willing buyer, willing seller. And therefore, whoever importer wants to take his cargo to whatever destination is free to do so without being coerced into moving their cargo to one particular destination. With that guideline from the South Sudan government, then we find that now the competition will become more severe as CFSs move to do more aggressive marketing, try every tricks in the book to get the biggest share of the South Sudan cargo. And it is true that the South Sudan cargo cannot pass through the port of Dar es Salaam. The distance is prohibitive. The cost is prohibitive. And therefore, the only shortest distance that you can get from Juba to the Indian Ocean East Coast is only through the port of Mombasa. Maybe the port of Djibouti, but that's a long shot. So it's only through the port of Mombasa that this cargo must move. Our data that we have on NTV indicates very clearly that the volumes for South Sudan has increased drastically over the recent past. And with this kind of increase, now the competition has grown even bigger. I'm requesting those who have not subscribed on this channel, please do subscribe. Give us a like, share, so that we can reach a wider space and get more people to come to subscribe. Because this channel is not only educative, but it brings awareness on how your cargo moves through the logistics chain from the port of Mombasa to your doorstep or to the point of consumption. And all the nitty-gritty, the costs that are involved, the non-tariff barriers that are involved can easily be sorted out if we have clear government policies in regulating the entire process. But anybody else would ask, why would the government get involved itself in a private enterprise like the logistics? The industry is basically private. The government is only providing the rail system. The government is providing the road network. But the importers, the exporters, the cargo interveners, who are the government, can only be there when cargo arrives at the port of Mombasa. So there must be some level of freedom for the importers to choose where they would like their cargo to go to. And that's where we decide that in this analysis that we are discussing today is to see how possible these CFSs can come together, have a joint platform, and create a sense of sanity in this war over the cargo for South Sudan. We have the CFS Association, which can turn itself into a regulator for their membership. We've got the Kenya Shipping Lines Association. We have got the Clearing and Forwarding Association. We have got the Kenya Transport Association. All these associations are key stakeholders in the movement of cargo from the port of Mombasa. And because this South Sudan cargo has attracted so much attention, then it will be important that they all come jointly, create a common platform for which they can regulate and create guidelines on how this cargo can be moved. I'm aware that there was a very important meeting held in Mombasa the other day between the CFSs and the government of South Sudan, and a lot was discussed and some resolutions were made. In this video today, I would like to read for you the resolutions made by the government of South Sudan so that it will make it easier for South Sudan cargo to pass through the port of Mombasa without creating a lot of pull, a lot of tags, and a lot of infighting, so that it is cheaper for cargo to arrive in Juba in the most cost-effective, in the most efficient way. In this meeting, the first resolution that was passed is that all South Sudan cargo will come through Mombasa, not Dar es Salaam. Even if they wanted to pass through Dar es Salaam, I don't know whether they'll be able to bear the extra costs, especially of the long haul by road to Juba. So they have confirmed that all South Sudan cargo will come through Port of Mombasa and not Port of Dar es Salaam. 2, fake importers pretending to be South Sudan residents be blacklisted. Here we talk about cartels. Here we talk about middlemen who are coming into the fray for their pound of flesh. And they are very aggressive. They distort all the arrangements. They go to court for litigation. And in the process, create confusion. And they are what we say, these are the fishermen who fish in troubled waters. So these ones must be blacklisted, must be identified, must be removed from the chain, from the logistics chain, to create a more fluid cargo movement from the port of Mombasa to South Sudan. Number 3, transport issues, insecurity, numerous stops, COMESA will be corrected. These are transit cargo going through the COMESA territories. And therefore, this will be corrected in due course to actually create what we call a fluid corridor that will be serving the port of Mombasa. Number 4, shipping lines to address. Shipping lines to be addressed, container deposit amount from 8,000 to 2,000. Now, this is where the shipping lanes come in. Container deposit from 8,000 to 2,000, because indeed, the container deposit and the distance and the free guarantee period to South Sudan can really be very costly. But because of the increased volumes and the shipping lines also needs to retain their customers, then they need to be flexible in charging of the deposits for the containers for the South Sudan cargo. Increased free days. I've just mentioned about the free guarantee period for the return of the empty containers. So Sudan government undertakes to ensure return of empty containers. Fine. That's what about the container free days. Yeah, some are giving 30 days. But looking at the logistics, going by road from Mombasa to Juba and back, or maybe going by rail, meter gauge railway or SGR to Naivasha or Nairobi, and then connecting by road to South Sudan also needs more time for truck round trip time and also for the rail round trip time. The timelines are very important for the return of empty containers and for the round trips for the trucks, either picking from Nairobi, ICDs, or picking from Mombasa to Juba. Cargo distribution be based on free competition to licensed operators. We have 21 licensed operators, but those 21 have all different capacities to handle cargo. So cargo distribution must be based on capacity for each CFSs. KPA did it before. They took its CFS separately, look at their capacity, the yard storage capacity, the equipment handling capacity, and they determined how much cargo can be distributed to each CFS differently based on their handling and storage capacity. 6, delays at border to be improved through automation of processes, installation of scanners to remove physical verification. The minister the other day talked about the delays at the border crossings in Malaba and also at Busia. KRA and Uganda Revenue Authority did a one-stop clearance center at both Busia and Malaba. I don't know what happened when this clearance, the one-stop clearance, was created, because queues of trucks continue to plague the efficiency of the corridor through the Busia-Malaba border crossings. This must be addressed in order to ensure that the trucks' turnaround times is minimized, is reduced. And this would be able to make the shipping lines also be free also to review and be flexible in the guarantee-free period for the containers. 7, US dollar 250 fee reduced in last June to USD 50 per container. This is a government of Sudan policy for which they had fixed at $250 US per container, but now they have agreed to reduce to 50, which makes it even much cheaper now to move the South Sudan cargo. Is cheaper for the importer, who must bear this cost. Yeah, and therefore, these were the resolutions that were passed in that meeting for the South Sudan. In this analysis, as we finalize, it is important that the players in the logistics chain from Mombasa Port come together to regulate movement of cargo to the CFSs. CFSs plays a very important role in the cargo evacuation from the port and thereby decongesting the port, making the port most efficient, and they must be supported. So to regulate and to bring them to work on a common platform with very clearly defined rules and regulations, it would make it this kind of fight over the soul of South Sudan cargo something of the past. We would advise the clearing and forwarding KIFWA so also play a leading role. We have KIFWA and we have got South Sudan Clearing and Forwarding Association. They can jointly work together and create a more enabling environment to move this cargo. Without the clearing and forwarding agencies, then the challenges for moving this cargo would become even more difficult and very difficult to solve. I'm talking about the Kenya Shippers Council, the Shipping Line Association. The shipping lines are all competing also for the South Sudan cargo. And if they can also look into ways of making it easier for this cargo to move by reviewing their free period, container guarantee free period, then it will be easier for the importers and exporters of South Sudan cargo passing through the port of Mombasa. And for the port of Mombasa, KPA, this is a very important client, transit client, that must be retained at all costs. KPA must give special preferences, give special rates, give special free period for South Sudan cargo. Because as we look forward, these volumes are increasing by the day. And because of this, there will be some tendencies for other ports to try and capture this market. So KPA must not sit on their laurels. Already they have the South Sudan cargo as captive. They can lose it any time. So it is important to retain them. How do you retain a client? Make them happy by efficiency of your performance and your efficiency. Make them happy by concession rates. Make them happy by giving them the best services. Open a special window for only South Sudan cargo so that it is easier for them to move this cargo through the port of Mombasa and therefore make the clients happy and retain them. It is easier to bring in a customer, but very difficult to retain if you do not live up to their expectations. With those, please subscribe. Also do a like. Click on the thumbs up, notification bell, so that next time we do this video, you're able to get notification real time once it is rolled out. So until next time, thank you so much. Asanteni sana, tukutane tena katika video ambayo itakayofuata.